Solange der Speicherplatz reicht. Schauen wir mal. Okay. I guess everyone's here for the meeting. Did everyone have a chance to watch the video in advance?
Yep.
Michel, never does this homework. It's alright. It was very much in advance, so it's fine. So you can re-watch that later. Maybe we go first into general things before we go into the coaching side of things. Two topics from my side. One is the Halloween party, or like Halloween workout and party. We have talked to Peter, and we offered to do a kind of a food thing for the Halloween party, and we want to combine it with some collecting money for a girl, like one of his friend's daughter had a aneurysma, I guess. So, and now they're collecting money for rehab and everything. So that's actually a nice way to get some money and put it directly into like one family, which really need it. And so Kati and Beta are figuring out the details, but he will basically provide food and then we will donate. I don't know if it will be everything we get or just like what like comes on top of the cost of food we can give to this family then. So that will be for the Halloween party, and the rest will be my idea was to have a class structure to keep it for the 3 classes for that night, and then do the Halloween workout during a regular class basically, because otherwise it probably will be a little bit too chaotic. That would be my idea. If you have a better idea, or if you think that it was better having heats going on and not having a coach guiding the class, then we can talk about it. For me, that was just like what I thought, so it's fine for everyone. I will just keep it like that. And then if needed, increase the people per class, because it will be team workout. Yeah? Okay.
Masked. With costumes.
First. Yep, exactly. We will put out information probably tomorrow. Katja already wrote up some information. I will have to check it tomorrow when I have time in the evening. And then we will. Is everyone of you here on Halloween? Tuesday, I'm home. Then actually, because we've been talking about it the last time, that we won't have a pack for breakfast, but we still wanted to do some kind of Christmas party for the members. And this is just about figuring out a date, and we also want to combine it to again collect some money for that family. This is then 2 times, but it doesn't really matter. So why not do that? Because they will be really happy about it and they can need it. So we were thinking about having a day with 2 to 3 workouts for the people, like a mini pack for like just for fun and not like having a really complicated event. Just community event, like we had in summer. Peter will again has some food we can sell, and then collect the money, provide it to the family, and just have a little bit of Christmas community party. So that was about finding a date, and I'm not sure if we will find one where everyone can be here, because December will be most likely pretty either, let me check, 15 or 16 of December.
On the evening or afternoon?
That depends a little bit on which day we choose, because if it will be a Saturday, then it will most likely be like a afternoon event, or like maybe starting at around 1 or 2, having 2 events, and then having food in the evening. If the majority can't come on Saturday, and we have to go to a Friday event, then it will probably be a little bit a shorter event. So if the 16th of December would be doable for most of you, or for many of you, that would be actually good. So, wanting to check on that.
Depends a bit on the time because I have 2 Christmas parties that week. As usual. But maybe if it's starting in the afternoon, I can maybe join in the afternoon and leave earlier.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. That was easy. I didn't expect that. Yeah. Okay. So.
Also bei mir ist einfach dann 3 wichtig. Ja, ich muss nicht arbeiten her, aber ich kann natürlich nicht schon
That's a Saturday. Yeah. Yeah.
Ja, aber eigentlich hätte ich auch dann natürlich nicht schon noch
No, but then it will be Saturday, and that will make things easier anyway, so that would be cool. Then I will just see if I think I will skip the morning classes then, and only make it a community event so as many of the people can come and figure out something. That's great actually. Cool. And for the Christmas party, still not 100% confirmed. And it depends a little bit on the weather, but we might start around 2:30 in the afternoon. That is okay. And plan a little afternoon Yeah, activity is the right word. No, our coaches on the 4th of November. So if that is something fun, we might need some outdoor clothing. And it depends if it's super shitty weather, we can't do that. We might just switch it for a team workout here. I don't know. Okay? And then later on we'll go to most likely Dortmund.
Sorry?
Most likely Dortmund to have food and drinks and whatever. Alright? Good. Any questions? Okay. Then about the programming structure. Any first thoughts about it? I think it's a little bit different from what we did in the past, in my opinion, but I kind of like it.
Why is it different?
I thought it was after watching the video after that.
Yeah.
I heard that before, but I'm not sure why.
Okay. What did you like about it? Okay. Okay, good.
And like on Fridays that you can choose.
Yeah.
That's nice. There's some target on my person.
So did I get it right? On Friday there's an exercise the members can choose which one
Yeah.
they will add
Yeah. Exactly.
to a already structured one.
Yeah, exactly. So, just quickly to go through, Monday I want to keep up that theme, working on overhead positioning, overhead squat, transferring to the snatch later on. I will, because 6 weeks is great to work on something, the 12 weeks is even better. So I kind of like, I'm not switching it up all over again, but I try to keep the themes in some parts and build from that. This will be a lot of fun for people and for me as well. Yeah. Yeah. For Monday.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
also just like
Yeah.
sometimes clean boots, sometimes nice boots.
Yes,
Like,
exactly. So, but for Monday it's overhead, like push press, push jerk, strip press, and then overhead squats. And this is basically the same focus as we had in the snatch and overhead squat now on the interval weightlifting this cycle. So the focus here is even more, because we don't have the pulling off the floor, but we want to develop that strength with the push press and sweep press and jerks. We like being aware of where to place the barbell overhead. Secure lockout, shoulder positioning, wrist positioning, core positioning for that part, and then going to an overhead squat position that is challenging for the members. Okay, because that was also the goal with the squat snatches and overhead squat we had now. And now we maybe can go a little bit heavier because we're not pulling off the floor. Alright, so that is the focus here, and it's very important that you keep working with the people on depth more than weight. So I'd rather have them squat down with an empty barbell in their second to last set because they get into it, rather than putting on 40 kilos and doing half squats. Alright, so just to be clear here. Tuesday's not much to say about it. Wednesday is the keeping pull-up day. We will go through the skill parts and variations. I want to keep it as a short skill work to prepare for the workout, so they can work and practice in the workout. Okay. And we will work a lot with the box keeping pull-ups there. So this is really important that we're on the same page, what we're looking for and what we want the people to practice. Because you can practice shitty movements really good on the box because you're taking away load. So it's really important that we know what to look for here. And then just supplementing with some accessory bits afterwards. And then this will be interesting. I'm kind of most excited for Thursdays. Thursdays, because I want to do some lifting days, but starting with focusing on the pull part. So we do heavy pulls, which we rarely done in classes here, only in weightlifting, but I want to bring the members into developing that feeling to lift the bar control of the floor, being a little bit more aggressive, developing speed from the hips or middle of the thigh, and then still showing control in the triple extension or in the finish of the pull. Okay, so that is what it's all about. This will be nothing fancy, like 4 to 5 sets of 3 to 5 reps. And depending on I will probably switch it up every week. If it's a clean pull or a snatch pull, in the workout there will be a clean or a snatch. Most likely a power variation, sometimes might be squat, I don't know yet. Yeah, so that's it, and I'm excited to see how this will turn out with the members, and if they like it. Okay, so I want to go through the clean and snatch pulls shortly, so we know what to look for here. And then maybe if you need some help with like strict toes to bar, L-sit, static holds on the rings, so we're on the same page here. But that's the most important stuff. Saturdays is nothing fancy, just important that you you scale the movements or the difficulty of the movements according to the stimulus of the workout. So there's no purpose in making the weights too heavy, so they are in a 6-minute time domain just standing around and doing nothing. Like, you know, it has to be like they have to put in the work for 6 minutes and really keep going, and then use the rest because they need the rest. Okay, but that's pretty simple. Okay. Any other questions about the programming so far? That was just a rough overview, because then we can go into the details if you want to. Keep it not too long today. Maybe we move it over to the rig. I will set up the camera so I can upload it later. Let's put up one barbell on the rig and a box for the box kicking pull-ups. And we need a bench. That's it. Shower. Okay. So the overhead positioning and strength part. This will be from the rig. So in my opinion, what's really important is that the setup is already, that you're already in a good place before you start the movement. So also reminding people to how to brace their core, how to open their upper body, their upper back, putting shoulder blades down, and already like creating some space here to be in a good overhead position, because that won't work that well from that position. Okay. Most of the things we will do at a snatch grip width. Otherwise, other than we go to a narrower variation, just that you are really aware here as well to educate people about the grip width, because I saw that they are just not aware of it. They just don't know where to place their hands. But usually we want to strengthen the same positions we do that exercise for, and that is for the snatch and for the overhead squat. So for most of the people, this will be snatch grip width. If they struggle with the wrists, they might narrow their grip a little bit, but try to keep it as minimal as possible. Okay. The other thing is having the barbell in the middle of the hand. Okay. So some people, they tend to have their wrists too straight or too bent, and we don't want to put too much extra pressure on the wrist. Okay. So try to educate them about like what actually does it mean when a barbell is in the middle of the hand, and that like for me it always helps when I do this Lego hands. So fingers and thumbs pointing up, because then you create that space in the middle of the hand. Okay. If people are here, it's not the middle of the hand. It's here like this. Okay. That's a really easy fix. And the other thing is then when they start pressing the barbell overhead, is especially the lockout position with the elbows extended, with the head in front of the bar, or like at least in the back third of the head. Okay, it doesn't have to be, or it shouldn't be behind the head, obviously, but a little bit behind the frontal plane. Locked elbows. And what's really helpful here as well is if they try to break the barbell to the front. That also helps with the wrist positioning and with the strength. Because some people that have pain in their wrists, this will help them to be a little bit more active here, and also create the tension through the armpits, rotating the armpits a little bit to the side. Just a tiny bit, don't overdo it. But the thing they teach in CrossFit with that, in my sense, it's nothing that works for when I coach people. Okay? I rarely see weightlifter that catch a weight like this. They're always a little bit rotated. Okay? And this movement helps them understand that a little bit better. Locked elbows, and then like basically building that awareness for first bringing the barbell in a secure position and then keeping that position. So slowing it down and trying to develop that feeling of I actually can kind of control what my arms, my elbows, my shoulders are doing, other than just having the task of squatting down to an overhead position, because then we see the elbow bend, the bar coming forward, people being on the toes and stuff like that. Okay. So just to keep those things in mind of this is the start of an overhead squat, developing that position, and then focus on keeping the showing control of the whole movement. Okay. I don't know if you need any help about the overhead squat in that sense. For most of the people, if you feel like something is off when you watch someone overhead squat and you can't really, you don't know where to start. One thing is always, how do they initiate the movement? Okay? If they have the bar a little bit too much in front of their head and trying to go down and push the hips forward, like this won't work. They have to lean a little bit with their torso, pushing the bar back and bringing the knees forward. So that is always something, for me, what I'm looking for. When you start here, and you can see that they're doing this. Yeah? So, yeah, exactly. So here, it might help. I'm doing it over-exaggerated, okay? You know? Like this. Leaning forward and then trying to sit down. Okay? This just helps a little bit because like this you will be stuck at some point and feel like, oh, I don't know where to go. Okay? Some people, if that is not the case, check their stance width, like people. Because for some people it's just easier if they go a little bit wider on the overhead squat. Okay? Just play around with that and see if it changes, slowing down the movement and see how they balance out the movement so they don't shift in front. What else is there? Do you have any other movement flaws in your head that you struggle with coaching?
What would you do rather for people who like don't have really depth?
The
because
depth?
because they lack the ankle mobility, for example. Would you
Um,
use plates or give them rather a target for overhead squats?
I wouldn't give them plates, no. I mean, it always depends.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, it's so, yeah, kind of, I don't
Or
like
like
this
in
answer,
general,
but no, in general, I would let them work on a very challenging variation because we want to keep that pause in the overhead squat position anyway. And in my opinion, it works better to educate people more about the benefit of themselves trying to go as low as possible and then trying to see if they can go a little bit lower. Okay? Because they have to spend time in these positions that are really uncomfortable but kind of okay. Yeah, does it make sense?
What we do with people who has wrist problem or shoulder problem, like Inan or
Inan did overhead squats with me last week.
oh really? Okay. Or Fabian who has still problem with his wrist.
Does he have problems in the overhead squat? I think it's only the front squat, no?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
He can go better in snatch, I know that, but
Yeah.
maybe you just get away from it.
Exactly. You can play around with grip variations. Maybe it is better for his wrists to have a little bit of a narrower grip. So that would be obviously fine for him. And then if he has to reduce the load, you can still add like tempos. Like, 4 seconds down and then pause for a little bit longer and push it up. So adding difficulty like that. But yeah, that would vary for, like, depending on the problems. Wrist issues, usually a little bit more narrow grip. And then I put that on Instagram some weeks ago because I found that that is a nice variation to work with people on that overhead squat positioning and also building the awareness of where to move is when you give them a target and let them start from the bottom position. Okay, I think, did I anyone see that?
Yes,
Yeah, exactly, it was Christoph. And just, I wanted to give you this because I think you can use that really well for some of the people, and it's really fun to see that they actually can do kind of an overhead squat with that. Because overhead squats are so weird to coach sometimes. No? For me, I think it's super weird sometimes. So just that you know how to build that setup and what to look for. It's basically you do a box overhead squat, but you start from the bottom position and you start with the press out.
In the sitting
Position, so you obviously do that with a very light weight.
Yeah.
Okay? And from that position, like you can have a straight upper body, you can just sit, relax, focus on where is the bar, okay, is my chest upright, and then press it overhead. And then you're gonna check, okay, what's my squat width? So set your feet. Is the shoulder position good? Is the bar on top of my head or slightly behind me? And what you do then is you slowly bring the weight forward into the whole foot, so you actually feel like you're putting pressure against the floor. And then when you feel like, okay, now this is the whole foot, you can try to press up or do the squat and get up. And it's really about, because we don't do overhead squats with the torso like that, but you lean forward, obviously not like this, but like you keep the bar behind you, lean forward with the torso until you feel like, yeah, now I'm loading my legs, and then I stand up. And then you can either bring the bar back down and do it all over again. Torso leans, bar stays back, bringing the weight to the whole foot, and then squat up. Or when they do it once, maybe they can squat to the target and do it like that. And here, this is basically the same thing that with any other target is the lower the target is, the more challenging it gets. But in my opinion, this is really fun to try out with some people, and they feel like they have a lot more value out of that other than doing overhead squats to a height like that. You know what I mean? So if someone struggles with mobility or awareness of the movement, if they struggle to a degree where you feel like this is not even close to an overhead squat, let them work with something like that.
Okay.
This is safer and there is much more benefit to it. Okay?
Sounds good.
Yeah? Any questions about that? Okay. And then we have the keeping pull-up. I kind of hate it that we have it again because honestly, I think it's so difficult to teach people. It's just so difficult. So, we have been doing strict pull-ups, we have been doing rope climbs. So kind of like if people followed these days and those progressions, they should kind of be prepared to work on the keeping pull-ups. But now this is more about the positioning and moving the body through the positioning. Okay? Because the strength, let's assume the strength is there. So the focus here is practicing the correct movement flow. And I thought we might really give it a go with the box keeping pull-up. Okay? So, does everyone remember what a box keeping pull-up is? Just very important that we know what to look for in the setup already. Usually, the box has to be set up so when they stand on top of the box straight, the chin should be above the bar. Okay, so this is too low for me. I have to make it higher. Otherwise, they can, if they are more advanced, they can jump up a little bit and lift their feet. That's fine. But most of the people will need a box that is higher. And then, athletic always. Every time I stand on the high box. Then, one feet stays on the box, we drop down. And here it's just important that we stay, when we're extended, the body is just underneath the bar. Okay? This leg should be just under the bar. If it's too far in the back, too far in front, that won't help. That will fuck up the positions. Okay? And then also, just be aware that if the box is too high, people can't really swing. Okay, so there is like a sweet spot for that. This is borderline for me, but you get the idea. Hands outside of the shoulders. Some people are always like that. Remind them to grab a little bit further outside. And then we're gonna practice relaxed shoulders. Okay? Of a good grip in the sense of an active grip, not being in the fingertips. I don't care about the thumb, doesn't matter to me, but an active grip. And then building the positions here for the hollow and the arch, and obviously people will have a much harder time going into the arch position, okay? Because here this is like the shoulder in a strong position, and here you really have to push through with your legs and bring the chest forward, okay? But it's really important that they get that idea of the chest goes forward while the toe travels back, okay? And then, when we go into the kipping part, it's just important that the sequence is right. We go into a hollow. From the hollow, we set the toe. So this is hollow, this is setting the toe for a kipping pull-up. From that position, we keep the toe, and we only extend the hip, okay? And extending the hip is not like that. Here, we can over-exaggerate it for the people. We can really extend the hip so they're almost in an arch position. So, zack, zack, and then boom. The arms are still locked, and we really want to push up. And from that position, we pull, okay? This is what you will see a lot. What you can tell people then is, try to keep their feet, their toe in place. And then the same thing back. We lean back, extend the arms, then first we drop the hip. So my shoulder is now kind of open again. Closed shoulder. Yeah, you understand the difference here? Then we drop the feet, and then we go like that. This is so hard.
Push. Aber im ersten Mal hast du gesagt, wo noch der Fuß angewinkelt war, hast du gesagt, schon der Pull. Drückst du ihn nicht so ganz, also ich zeig dir schon.
Ach, das ist so streng. Oh Gott.
Oder durch, zurück, Hüft und dann strecken noch zuerst den Fuß und dann erst ziehen.
Der Fuß war immer gestreckt, oder?
Nein, eben nicht. Darum habe ich jetzt vorher gedacht.
Also auf der Box der Fuß?
Ja, der Fuß auf der Box. Also da setzt sich das ganz klar. Hüft.
Der Fuß auf der Box ist mir wurscht.
Und dann ziehen.
Das hängt von der Höhe von der
Eben,
Box ab.
so, okay.
Das ist egal. Du musst
Nicht
nur der
umstehen.
Fuß, der frei hängt, auf den musst du fokussieren.
Genau.
Der andere hilft so nicht.
Das ist einfach so, wie er braucht. Okay.
Ja.
Und dann nachher zurück. Eben lass dich hindern, aber durch.
Ja, voll. Mach's mir nur vor. Häng die mal rein. And now, relaxed shoulders. Okay. And now, the bar is
Ja, ich weiß nicht, gut durch.
Yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't matter.
Durch.
Yeah. So also like shoulders and arch. So what is we doing wrong?
Ja, streck.
Apart from having shoulder mobility, but the elbows are locked.
Ja.
Okay? And then they try to bring the chest forward. Okay?
Schulz!
Yeah, that is better. So loose here. Yes. Okay? If it's a small arch, that's fine. It's okay. People will compensate a little bit with that later, or just like blocking the movement and having a smaller arch. But I want the positions to be like, yeah, like this bendy thing, exactly. This will fuck up the joints. So, and then continue. You go. So, what is the set? What is the problem with the set? Now we corrected it. If the box is a little bit too high, exactly, we can make it lower. And then also the way we set it up before was it was straight from the start.
Aha, ja, gut,
The
gut.
problem is just not this. Oh yeah. And this is just a problem. Like when the setup is not correct, they almost have no chance to practice it correctly. So you have to be aware of the points. Okay. So, can you do again one arch, please? Okay, extend. Okay, you can't really extend your leg. Okay. Forward and then hollow. Okay. So now they can develop. Try to be a little bit more in that hollow position. Yeah, through here. So not again like pressing all the way down, but really keep that arms here at your shoulders. Yeah, push your back. Good. Okay. And now we extend the hips. And now when you extend the hips, you can start a little bit more of, no, just hold it. A little bit more of, okay, I'm going to put some pressure on the bar. Okay? Press down. And now you extend the hip. No. Extend the hip. Arms are locked, hips extended. More, push them up. And now you pull. And now you press back. The hips drop. And now, not everything, like slow it down a little bit more. Okay? Yes, and now you go back. And you go, he's cheating. Set the toes. No, set the toes. Extend the hips, press down on the bar, pull, and then back with the arms, hips down, and then hollow, and out. Okay? Okay, so is the sequence clear for everyone? And then, very important here, some members will be able to do that over time, or maybe after a few reps, pretty good and consistent. Then, and only then, they should work on speed of that drill. If they hit the position correctly, but you will see many people slowing it down, doing it okay-ish, they try to go faster and then they completely fuck it up. So what you're going to do then, you go back to letting them do the movements slower. Okay, so it's really important that you kind of see or develop that view for, is the movement pattern still good or not? You know what I mean? And then, of course, the faster you do it, like to a point, it will be easier then. Because here, you're like doing so much of holds and static position. But this will be a great benefit for them to also just build strength. Okay? If they can go faster, it will get a little bit easier for them. But there might be a point where they try to get sloppy. Okay, so then it's always for the ones that hit positions and go faster, keep in mind to spot that they still practice positions and accuracy of positions, even if they move fast. Okay, if they can't do that, they do it a little bit slower. And it doesn't have to be super slow, but just a little bit slower. Okay? And then at some point, maybe people can add in a little bit more difficulty by lowering the box. So this would be something I can show here, for example, where I would have to add a little jump, and I could do it a little bit more dynamic. Okay, it wasn't probably the most beautiful one, but you get the idea. So they can still try to open the hips here and then pull, and having a little bit more of that stimulus of a kicking pull up. So that is for that drill.
Always the same foot on the box.
No, I will switch it up, definitely. Good point, thank you.
Sorry?
Like always switching, not always going.
It is a, yeah,
The feet.
absolutely. It makes a big difference.
also in the workout, maybe let them start first set with the right foot on the box and then next.
Yeah, they can only turn.
Yeah, just that they're aware of, like they do a box step up, they will also switch legs.
Yeah.
Good point. And then, at some point, I might add in for the more advanced people some pauses for the kipping pull-ups, because a lot of people have that problem of getting one and then completely losing their shit when they're on top of the bar. So what helps them there, even when it's for the skill part, just to get into the movement, is add a little tiny hold, so they can actually, if they lose the tension, they can create it again before they drop down into the second rep. Okay, so this would look like something like that. They go up, and then you can, okay, hollow toes are in front, and then they push back and go into arch. Because I think that is something that is clear for everyone, that like the biggest flaw is usually people dropping straight down when they go for another rep, and then like they start to get into that pendulum swing, and it should be like that. Yeah. What else is there for you that you feel like might be challenging, or?
Quite well classed actually.
Is there someone who can do the movement? Is there also a chance to take them a band or staying still on the box?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that a band is valuable for keeping pull-ups of bar muscle ups, because it takes away that part you actually need, which is like keeping your toes in place.
Okay.
So it will never transfer. This is much better for strength and skill work.
Okay.
Plus, I myself hurt my back doing a keeping pull-up with a band. So I'm not a big fan of that. When I started CrossFit, I tried to do that, and then like in the arch position, the band was just like pulling too much behind me, and then I was like overextending, hurt my back. So wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, and then there will be some accessories with holds, chin or chest over bar holds. Chin over bar is clear. When you only train the holds, we can focus even more on positioning. So here, this is about keeping the shoulder blades down and not going into that position. All right. It helps sometimes to tell people to pull the elbows down to the hips and not only keeping the shoulder blades down. Okay. Close to the body, not holding positions like this. Pull close. I might also include some rib cage to bar holds in different heights. And what's important here is the difficulty with the bar, but this is great to work on that stability between shoulder blades, which they need on top of the pull-up bar anyway. Okay, so for example, there is variations where you can go a little bit lower, and then you just walk it out and keep that position. And the same thing here, you keep the shoulder blades down and back, but you really have to pull to your rib cage, and this is actually really hard. Okay, but like with stuff like that, it doesn't matter when people, like there's no purpose in people wanting to do a more difficult exercise when they can't hit like the range of motion we're looking for, or they lose form and stuff like that. Just be aware of that this is 100% quality focus here. A 100% success rate for those kinds of things. For the keeping pull-up difficulty in the workout, it's okay if they choose a difficulty where they fail sometimes. If they always succeed, it might be too easy. So I'm just repeating what Jay always says, and I actually really like that. But for training, like an 80% success rate is pretty okay. So if they start to, when they get fatigue, fail a rep here and there, it's fine. But then we're here as coaches reminding or trying to spot where was the flaw, where do they have to put in some extra energy or attention to get the next rep now that they're getting fatigued. Okay. And then just quickly go through the hollow rock kick because we will do a lot of those.
Just one question, if someone struggles with the volume, I mean, depending on the senior program, I guess, because it's actually pretty hard to hold the positions on the box.
Yeah.
We just scale the volume, or
For the box keeping
Yeah.
pull-ups, yeah. I mean, generally, I want to keep the rep schemes for the workout rather low, so people that have keeping pull-ups can work, like, don't have an overwhelming amount. Like next week, for example, we start with 5. It's an average 5 pull-ups and 10 thrusters or something like that. Okay? And then also, people that 5 pull-ups is no big deal. They do chest above pull-ups, you know? And so I try to keep it in a range which should be doable for everyone. But what was your question? If the volume was
Like,
too much, if you
yeah.
scale the reps or the difficulty?
if you should scale the reps?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I would absolutely do that. Yeah. So in case there will be a workout with 20 reps and there
I
might
mean, also for the skill part, I mean, not only for the workout.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But this will be more like the rope climb skill work. You just do like 10 to 15 minutes, you prepare for the workout, try to get the people into the right movement pattern, and then like let them team up, set up already stations for the workout, guide them through positions, let them do 2 or 3 sets of a few reps, but not like we do 5 sets of 10 and whatever. They can keep that work part for the workout then.
I think that format is really good. Like it's like repetition every week, but that's the thing, you need to do this over and over and say the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
It's like they look, oh okay, this is happening. You know,
Yeah.
after 6 weeks.
Yeah, but that was really
But
great, no?
it's
Like so many people
It's-
were so much better at
Yeah.
rock climbs now. It's
only
really
because
cool.
all the 10 minutes
Yeah.
it's always the same
Yeah.
every week, every month.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
finally.
That's what I like. It seems boring, but then once you realize you actually get a lot better by doing that boring stuff, the boring stuff gets fun. And I think a lot of people realize that. That's pretty cool. Okay, and then we have the hollow rock kick. Check if I'm on this or not. Right, that will do. Okay, so what we want to practice here is developing that feeling of being in a hollow position, setting the toe. So actually before you kick, you can, in my opinion, try to go a little bit higher with the toes, or like in a very extreme hollow where you really roll on your thoracic portion of the body, and then keep the toes in place until you shoot the hips up, and then naturally the feet will go down to the floor. But I didn't make that connection for a long time too, because in the beginning I was taught this. Okay, and what we're practicing that is what we exactly don't want to do when we kicking pull-ups, which is pulling the feet back when we kick. Because if we do that on the bar, our weight shifts behind the bar. Okay, but we kind of need to have this balance of the shoulders and the torso are behind the bar, but the feet are in front of the bar. So we're actually like having the center of mass underneath the bar. So that is really important that everyone gets that. We want to do the hollow rock, try to keep the feet on the same spot, shoot the hips up, and then let them sink down, but not actively pressing them down. So this will be something like this. Okay, so you can either do that with being in a kind of a keeping the tension position, position, but it's not necessary. And they can of course also bend their feet a little bit, but not slam the feet down. Go high, and then shoot the hips up. And this happens just naturally. Okay.
It makes sense because you don't focus on slamming your feet
Yeah.
down to the
Yeah.
floor, because that's what you focus on when you.
Yeah.
More focus on the hips.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think it's easier when you bend the knees, just because it's kind of weird to keep them straight. I'm just realizing that as I tried to show you. Yeah, because it's kind of like when you hit it wrong, you might want to use a mat or so, like it feels like you're slamming your back into the floor. But if you can keep that position, that's probably even better. I don't know how it looks, but it feels a little bit better than bending the hips. And also, like, I'm more or less in a reverse plank position, which transfers a little bit better to an arch position than that, right? Because that's like a shrimp position. So maybe we can keep that as kind of a more
I would say
advanced.
to me, too slow with your hips. Definitely too slow.
The thing is, I'm not sure if it's so good to focus on speed here rather than just extending the hips. Because the fast, like you're literally in the air now, you will fall down. There's nothing you can pull or press against. So that is the thing with the speed in that drill for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can do it fast, but then I'm also going down fast. The slower I do that, the more I develop that feeling for shooting my hips up.
And I think that's a big problem of a lot of members. They don't use hips.
Yeah.
Like I saw it today with Peter. He tried all the time the muscle up, and he has no hips.
Yes
Of
and
course,
no. I
other
watched
problems,
some of
yeah.
I watched some of the reps from the side, but the thing was his problem is a different one.
Oh, of course, yeah, he pulled, but
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. Like the focus of that, using the kip and shooting the hips up to the bar, so you actually get that elevation that helps you. Because if you don't do that, you can do just a kipping pull-up, and that's what it just freaks me out every time I see a video from CrossFit, the gymnastic course teaching a fucking kipping pull-up. They just teach a kip swing with the L pull-up, and I don't know, I just don't get it. There is a little bit of momentum you get from the swing.
What do you teach?
They teach this in CrossFit. They go from a hollow arch, and then they just pull. But there's no hip extension.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. Maybe some of you do. It's about getting your hips up, right?
And for the drill on the floor, so you would like to let the feet just sink, like, because if I do that, I rock back. So I
Can you
don't.
show? Bring.
Alright, please try to rock back.
No, it doesn't happen because you think
So like, if I go like this, I go.
But now,
So I'm focusing on like keeping my toes up, that's, and then extending my hip. So I don't want to drop my feet.
yeah. Just thinking about if that might be another drill that
Maybe for advanced people, I know.
it would be interesting to try out what would be more beneficial to develop that hip kip.
Maybe
Can you try
depends.
it?
Maybe
Did you
depends a
learn
bit on the floor of the head. So like if
The
they,
The floor.
maybe if they drop because then they are more focused on the hip than keeping it through.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, interesting point, because it's basically two different exercises.
Yeah, kind of.
I'll have to think about it. Can you do both variations? I can't do one. So that was always sliding down on this.
Yeah.
That was better. Maybe that's even easier.
Like
Can you do
now,
that even with more hip extension? And can you do the other one I showed again? Oh, no, I will show you it's different. Interesting. Like, it's a good idea to think about.
Mir hat das Kathi auch zeigen,
Yeah.
wo sie gesagt hat, sie probiert es. Und ich finde es mit gestreckten Füßen, gestreckt Lauf fast besser.
Ist einfacher.
Du
Ja?
konzentrierst dich viel mehr auf die Hüfte.
yeah,
Yeah.
you feel a lot
Yeah.
more what you're doing. Like, you know,
Yeah.
pressing it.
I never thought about it that way. I will have to think about it.
Yeah.
I think maybe it depends on the person, because
Yeah.
maybe with this way you can shoot your hip maybe not that much up as like the other one.
Ja, aber du hast ja dann
Maybe one
But the
thing.
timing is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it feels more like when you're on the bar.
Yeah, you're more focused really still on the hips.
I just like the also, you have to feel the movement a bit better so that you also can rock back, so just don't fall. I like that part actually a lot. But I guess maybe it depends on the people. Maybe if they're like struggling with the hips in general, maybe it's better just like focus on the hip and don't care what the feet does.
Yeah, but the thing is with the one I showed before, you still kind of want to catch yourself in a stable position and not drop down
Yeah.
to the floor. But maybe that's really the more challenging variation, because you actually then, maybe that we could see that as the next step, because you're then changing positions. Like that, you're staying in a hollow. You have the hip extension, but then you go back to hollow. But when I do this exercise I showed before, you go from hollow to hip extension, but then you catch yourself in an arch. And
Yeah.
then, like, it doesn't matter if it's with bent knees, that's easier, or with straight legs, that's a little bit harder.
That's true.
But you have to make that switch of, okay, now I have to be in that position and keep the tension there. That's just what is happening now in my head. That would explain some of it.
Yeah.
But maybe we can try it out like that, to have it as the easier version, staying in that hollow and keeping the feet, or not focusing on going down with the feet, and the more challenging variation with having the feet on the floor, then a little bit bent or extended. But even if they're bent, like keeping that hips up. Yeah, let's try that. Okay, that's that. And then just quickly clean and snatch pulls. Slow lift off the floor. Let people create space in the starting position. Okay, if they start off the floor by bending over too much, like this, there's not a lot of power in it. Just widen the stance a little bit so they can actually like push the hips forward, push the knees out against their arms, and then having that pressure against the floor. Parallel up to here, work on the double knee bend here, and then accelerating and keeping the balance. Okay, working on that, really let them pause. like not for a second, it is probably even too long, but they have to develop that feeling of being balanced so they have control.
If we go for the pulls without bending the arms, only straight arms, okay.
Depends.
Okay.
We might vary that.
Okay.
For snatch pulls it will likely be with bent arms, but still, for you, when you teach those kind of movements, in my opinion, for some people, for a lot of beginners, it's easier to understand the shrug and the triple extension when they actively press down against the bar, because otherwise they will just do an arm pull.
Right.
And I did that in the warm-up for the snatch overhead squat through the last cycle. For my classes it worked really well. Letting them warm up with really telling them to push down against the bar, going up, and then just develop that clicking and that aggressiveness. And then, so they also kind of practice the timing of not everything happening together, but they're like, boom, and then up. That helps. But that is something that you can play around with as well. For me, it works pretty good like that. For snatch pulls, it will more likely be snatch high pulls, but if you feel like someone is only always pulling with the arms, having the weight too much on the toes, that might help develop that feeling. Okay, we'll see how that goes. Any questions about that clean pull? Reset on the floor, setting the upper back in a good position, and being balanced from the start is very important. If you don't do that, it's very likely that the rest of the movement goes to shit at some point. Okay? Okay, that's that. And then just strict toes to bar, L-sit and rings. Just to give you an idea of what to look for. For a strict toe to bar, we want to work with a shoulder position. Okay, so we don't want to start leaning back and pressing down on the bar. This makes it obviously very challenging because we have to crunch more here with the abs and use our hip flexors. Okay, because then we really have to be like in this position rather than this position.
I think it's also hard how to teach people they actually have to move the hips.
Exactly.
Not only core, you have to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But for me, it really helps to practice that when they stand on the floor, because like you all know that drill, and then just tucking the pelvis, and you will immediately get the hips up higher, the legs up higher. How does it run?
Yeah, I was already struggling with chase camp 3 years ago. PPT for
And then you can manipulate the lever by tucking the knee or keeping the leg straight. This will make it easier, obviously. So for people struggling with getting their straight legs over hip height, I would rather have their legs bend a little bit. They don't have to go all the way up to a tucked position, but they can have a little bit of a bend, and this will make it easier. And then starting by being relaxed here, bringing the feet or like the thighs close to the body, and then the toes up. But this will be very challenging for most people. Ideally, like people should be able to even hold the top position for a tiny bit to really build that strength here. Head is neutral. So that is always good to look to that, because some people are like, when you do that, chances are you're leaning back not pretty high. Feet together ideally, and then trying to crunch and stay as open as possible in the shoulder. And then when you do the tucked variation, not focusing on bringing the toes up, but really bring knees up as high to the chest as possible. Okay. That is a good variation for that, but then we will also probably work on the bench foot variation. Show you what we're looking for here. The more upright, the more challenging it gets. Okay? This is like a hybrid variation. Still, this will be easy. Like even if the bench is super upright, you still are supported on the bench. But it's a great way to access that hip flex and core strength you actually need for that exercise for the strict toes to bar. So
is it a scaling version for the strict
yes,
toes bar?
Exactly. So especially for the ones that really can only do like a knee tuck or only bring their feet to parallel. Like I would rather be like in that range from 45 degrees off the bar to the bar, where people stay on the bar, and other people will most likely benefit more from that variation. Okay, and maybe you can just try it out quickly afterwards, so you feel what you have to, like what it actually is to do that movement. Here is the same thing. The more extended you are with your arms, the less you can help with your arms. Okay, so try to be as extended as possible. If people have shoulder pain, it's better to bend a little bit. Okay, and then the hands should be pretty far down, because the higher you go, the more you're in a closed shoulder position already when you start. And then before you start, it's the same thing. You start basically from a hollow position, so you have to just, or not hollow, but you have to set your hips. If you start like that, this won't work. So you have to shift, tilt your pelvis, and then the easier version first would be like pulling the knees to the chest, and then do the kick out. Okay? If you keep the heels down, this will be easier. It's so hard. And here, you can also, it's a great exercise to spot people as well, because not many people will be able to get the toes to the bar. And then with the extended legs, it's more like this. And I can't really see where I went with my toes, but obviously bringing the toes as close to your hands as possible would be the goal. Okay?
And the lowest scale version would be toes to kettlebell.
Exactly. I
And
mean,
I'm not sure if Elfriede maybe can do that.
Yeah, the toes to kettlebell, it's the same principle.
Yeah.
You can tuck your knees, it will make things easier. Yeah, but it's just important that you understand that, like, I would rather have them work on a lower bench or on the floor and really get that compression and get the toes really close to their hands instead of only doing this. Okay, so there's not a lot of compression going on. You will have a little bit of hip flexor strength, but the compression really comes from trying to get feet up as high as possible. Alright? You want to give that a go quickly? Or is everyone fine with it?
I've already done it.
You have?
And it's your elastic center.
Yeah, we can do it on short.
No, genau. Schräg Arm über. Du musst jetzt sehr schön in die Hüfte.
Da scheitert es schon.
Genau. And now, like, you can still go and help people press them down. Just kind of today. You still have to work. Okay, aber ich merke jetzt, oder?
Ja, voll. Jetzt sieht man, dass ich so viel bringe.
Ja.
Da bin ich ganz verkürzt dahinter.
Aber das ist jetzt eben, das ist schon recht hoch.
That's
Just
really
like
challenging, yeah.
Nein, nicht so.
Okay. Other questions about that? We will work on L-sit a little bit at some point. In my opinion, it's easier from the floor or like from parallels or something else. If we do work from floor or from parallels or dumbbells, just important for you to understand that hands should be at the hips or in front of the hips. Okay, and like that the goal is also to crunch here and have extended arms, press the shoulders down from the ears, and not be like kind of this position. Okay, so or at least develop that, because probably also how people can cheat their way into it, and also having their elbows bent and that kind of stuff. Like you really want to work. Like I try to call it. I don't know if it's correct. Jay would probably say it's not, but more like straight arm strength. It's at least that's the focus for us with those exercises we're doing here. That we don't want to have that arm bend. We want to keep that straight arm tension, pressing or pulling against something while keeping the elbows locked. So that you understand that. It's not only about the core exercise. And then here, just trying to work on, even if they do tuck variations, can you see the difference from here going to here? And once you try that out, that makes a big difference on the core. Here you load the shoulders when you shift the hips back. When you shoot the hips forward, you load the core way more. So that would be the goal for that. And yeah, I mean on the hang, you can't really cheat that portion. Okay? On the hang, you try to be in a straight line. You have to tuck your pelvis here as well, and then get the hips up. If we do variations on the rings, just very important that people keep their elbows locked here. Because on the rings, this will be harder, obviously, than on the parallels. Very, very little people will be doing L-sit holds on rings. Especially if they start bending their elbows, they have to do a different variation.
But we have different equipment. Like once we do it with parallels, or
yeah.
we do it.
This will vary.
Okay.
This will vary. And I will most likely write it.
But it's someone who can pull her on the parallel on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. So skating an L-sit on parallel would be, you can either do it like this.
Yeah, with the feet on the floor.
Exactly. Because like doing an L-sit here on the floor, or like you can also do this will be a pike hold. Okay? But important here is just that you have your hands not behind you, because then it will be like a V-sit or something like that. So it's more about like, you really have to bring that rib cage down and press against something or pull against something. Okay. And then I might add in as well some ring support holds and ring dip holds. And then just, that's basically the last thing, just so you know what you have to be looking for here, is in a support position. Like everything we do on the rings here for strength, we want the body in a straight line. As soon as you lean forward, this will make things easier for you, or target different muscle groups. So, like either if you're in a support or in a ring dip position, you want to have the hips underneath the shoulders, okay, because it's more challenging. So, for the support hold and for the ring dip hold, rings have to be close to the body. So that is the first thing. People should be able to do that. If not, they have to do it feet supported. To do feet supported, try to make it the rings at a height where they can be on their tippy toes, or they can lift one of their legs. This will make it harder. And then straight elbows. The pressing down will be limited depending on the ring height. Okay? So you can vary with that as well. People shouldn't be in that position. Okay? But still pressing down. And then rotating the arm, the palms a tiny bit out. Okay, this will also prevent bending the elbows. If I'm like that, bending the elbow is almost impossible. Okay, so if you feel like people are bending their elbows, they have to push down more, and then ideally just a tiny bit rotating outwards. And then yeah, being in a straight line underneath the rings. These are a little bit too much. lean like that. That's not a clean position. Okay? Press down, straight arms, rotate out. Toes pointed and underneath, like don't tuck your hips. That's maybe another point. Okay? Try to, and that's actually really challenging to not bend here. Really stay extended. And then the ring dip position is basically the same thing. With the shoulders touching the ring, rings are close to the body, hips are underneath the shoulders, not somewhere here because then I'm inclined with my torso, and I want to be in a straight line as straight as possible. Shoulders touching the rings, head looking forward, that always helps a little bit with staying upright, and then being in an active position, trying to press down on the rings, and not just holding there, but like if people really try to press down, they keep a little bit more tension. It's just what you try to, I don't want to say activate, but what you try to target in your head sometimes helps. Yeah.
For the other set, would you recommend, like, I guess it's gonna be pretty difficult for a lot of members. Would you like rather scale to the floor, or for some people just feet assisted is one leg on a height, for example, on the parallels or on the box, whatever?
You mean 1 feet in the tuck position on?
Yeah, or like just toe support, like on the.
One leg.
You might show.
Just like tuck, just with one knee.
So.
Push
Yeah,
the hips
maybe.
forward.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If they have a feet support here, I'm not sure if they're able to go in a good position. So I would, if they can do a tuck without feet assistance, I would shoot for that. If they need a tuck and a feet support, I would rather go to floor variation with extended legs. In my opinion, that makes more sense. But that also might differ by what the limiting factor is.
Yeah, sure.
But maybe as a general rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also shoulders away from you, stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
Like, everybody just wants to go here. Like, see ring support, like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, it's just constant.
Yeah.
Yo.
No. I'm curious to see where this cycle goes.
But the members really improved through the last cycle.
It's crazy. It's
You
really
can really
crazy.
see the benefit, progressions and benefits. So on Monday, almost everyone had a nice J-hook, good rope climb.
Yeah.
Except for Sarah, but I think
Yeah,
she
she's
was.
like here in a second.
And today with the handstand push-up, first week in the cycle, they were all doing like regular push-ups, and now everybody was doing it perfectly from the box with the right movement and going in, and really cool.
That's so cool. Yeah, thanks. I think it's going great as well. And like as always, if you have any ideas, because some of you see other people's in the classes than I do. The people I coach are more or less the same every week. But if you feel like there's other bits we should focus on, or you have ideas what might benefit a lot of people, then just let me know and I can implement it in the next cycle. But I kind of like the structure at the moment of having the skill part and using the same exercise in the workout, or trying it out, basically the same thing with the weightlifting now, with the pulls and then the full lift kind of thing. So we get a little bit more work done while not having the need of preparing 4 different exercises we need to build up with the members, you know? It's kind of like we work on one movement pattern that day, keep it technical there, and focus on that. And then, about the weakness exercise on Friday, Thursday, Sunday, I don't know. this should be something like there won't be time that people get like 3 minutes of your coaching time so you can explain anything to them, you know? So it won't be like you get that you give them a little skill session so they know what to do, but maybe like on those bits you can especially focus in classes to give them a little bit feedback on that movement. You know what I mean? So if someone chooses, I don't know, handstand walk or hand balancing or just a power clean, make sure they're safe and try to improve just their, like how they move, or they feel a little bit more comfortable when they practice the next time. It should get them into like, it's actually nice to practice something all over again, week by week, and then get a little bit of improvement, even when they have to do that on their own, kind of thing.
Will you give a selection of exercises, or can they really choose whatever they like? I mean, if you give a selection, they will choose the easiest.
Yeah. And the other thing is also like, I don't want to overdo it.
Yeah.
So I would recommend not choosing a too technical exercise, other than they already know what they're doing. But then also like, for fuck's sake, if someone comes and they always like to work on strict pull-ups just because they like strict pull-ups, let them do strict pull-ups and clap for them. Like, it doesn't matter. They will get progress in that exercise as well.
Yeah.
So if that is their weakness part, maybe it's just like, they just want to come here and have one thing that they're really looking forward to, that's fine as well. But just like, they get to pick one thing they want to work on, maybe we don't call it weakness work, just one thing they want to work on. That can be fun as well. So I don't really care if they suck at anything and they don't practice it. It's their thing.
What do you want to do today?
Yeah. It's wünscht dir was da.
What do you do?
And for that specific class, the rest of the workout, if I have it right in mind, is a combination of double unders and burp, right? So like that I don't have to think too much about the setup, especially if they can choose there.
Yeah.
If someone wants to go for rope climb, then they go outside.
They can use the short one,
Or
they
they
can
use the short one.
go outside, yeah.
Yeah, okay, but I don't have to worry about too much about the setup and.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, worst case, I have to say no anyway.
Yeah, no, but like maybe some people like Matthias Gerbers will come and say, I would want to do ring muscle ups. You know? Just because it rarely shows up in class. Or other people want to practice that. Or whatever. And it doesn't have to be something that have a 100% success rate. They can use it as a skill part. If they want to work on ring muscle ups and they can't do it, they can do breakpoint reps. Or feet assisted ring muscle up transitions or stuff like that.
But I guess if you just need a bit more of preparing the workout then, just because everyone chooses the exercise in the beginning of the class, I guess. And then we have to check, okay, does everyone has their space? Are there enough rings, whatever? Just to keep in mind that we maybe need 5 minutes to set up anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I mean, for next week, I think I have it pretty short with like 15 minutes. I don't remember. Yeah, and I think I have strict toes to bar and ring support hold for 4 sets, so it's not a crazy amount, or maybe 5 sets. And the second 60-second rest in between each set. So this will be like, once you set up everything, this will be done in around 15 minutes with everything max. That shouldn't take too long. And then the 15-minute EMOM, which doesn't require a lot of setup for double unders and the erg. So there should be time to have 5 minutes so people can set up their stations and know where they have their places and stuff like that, so it doesn't get too chaotic.
Das habe ich jetzt richtig verstanden. Es gibt ab und zu mal ein Workout, wo der Member kann sagen, was er will machen.
Yeah. On Fridays there will be an EMOM style workout.
Movement, not
Movement,
Yeah, one movement. Oh, sorry.
And they will have the option of choosing one exercise they want to
Okay.
work on. I can do that. I suggest one exercise for people that have no clue. I can do that if that helps. But that's maybe like then the optional part, because the idea was they can pick something on their own.
Oh.
But if someone is really new and they have no idea what to do, maybe that helps. I don't know. Or do you want to come up with that on your own? I don't know what helps.
Okay.
What do you think?
Cool.
Should I give you an example exercise, or is everyone comfortable doing that?
So you, like, you just, you want to use dumbbells, you want to use kettlebells,
Yeah.
you want to do something.
And then at some point you probably also know the
Trying to-
people, and you probably realize, yeah, so you have a hard time squatting down below parallel. Why don't you work on a goblet squat? Squatting to full range of motion and work on that squat form. Like it can be stuff like that as well. Yeah? Good? Bueno.
One last question, why are the dumbbells over there? Is there a reason for
I
that?
know, I realized it today.
Oh.
It's my fault.
Because I thought it's something to do with
Ja, ich glaube.
landmine.
Yeah, it is, because I use the landmine at the moment. And
Okay.
it rotates from side to side. But when I do a row and it rotates down, then I can't row it anymore, or it's harder. That's why I have to keep
I
them
was
in
just
place.
asking
Yeah.
myself to that.
Yeah. No, I just forgot to.
I thought it's something to
No.
Fix it.
All right. Muchas gracias.